was a Saturday morning. I was going to visit my parents in San Francisco, and I was going to catch BART. I was a perfectly healthy person, and I exercised, and I had no idea I was at risk of having a sudden cardiac arrest. This is not something that ever had gone through my mind. I ran up a flight of stairs to get to the train as quickly as I could. And when I got to the platform, my heart kept going faster and faster and faster and just wouldn't slow down. I realized also that I was gonna faint. And when I regained consciousness, I realized that I was on the floor, I was on the ground. Everything for me changed that day. I had no idea I had any cardiac issues, completely unexpected. And so I had to go through a couple of misdiagnoses before actually getting a proper diagnosis of hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. A lot of times the first symptom is a sudden cardiac arrest, so people don't really have a chance. What I have is an implantable cardioverter defibrillator, a device that delivers a shock to the heart in case the heart goes into ventricular tachycardia or ventricular fibrillation. I didn't know anything about the heart when this all started. I knew the heart had 4 chambers. But all of a sudden, this entire world opened up to me of having a heart condition, and I realized that in order to survive, I had to learn. And I had to learn as much as I could so that I could have educated conversations with my physician, with my doctor. Patients have to participate. You know, if patients want to be included, patients also have to step up to the plate. I hope to have full access, unrestricted access to the data that my device collects about my body, online, on my mobile devices, so that I can know as much as the device knows about my heart. To be empowered, truly empowered, to make some of these decisions that impact my life. A lot of times patients are not trusted to care for themselves. You manage your career, you're capable of managing your finances. Why is it any different when it comes to healthcare? I don't want to become a cardiologist. I don't have any ambitions to understand everything that there is to know about the heart and every possible type of cardiomyopathy. But I want to be an expert in what it comes to me, my own condition.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Hugo Campos.
Hi, everyone. So this is what I have in my chest. It's an implantable cardioverter defibrillator, or ICD. It's an amazing little computer that's capable of detecting a malignant arrhythmia and of delivering a life-saving shock to the heart. And it's incredibly effective. The ICD is the most effective way to prevent a sudden cardiac arrest in people who are at risk. It really works. There's nothing better than the ICD. There's nothing better than it, except for I recommend not having a sudden cardiac arrest. But if you have to have one, the ICD is the way. And it really works. The device has saved my life a couple of times. I wouldn't be here today speaking to you if I didn't have an ICD. But there's a problem with it. The ICD is defective. In my view, the ICD is defective by design. And I say this because the ICD is designed in such a way that it prevents patients from accessing the data that it collects from their bodies. This data is collected by the manufacturer of the device and shared with physicians via reports. But it is not shared with the patient who originates it. Patients have no access to it. Now think about this for a second. The ICD is mine. It is paid for on my behalf by my insurer in full. It's part of who I am. I go to bed with it. I wake up with it. It is an essential part of who I am. And yet I have no access to what it knows about me. But let me give you a perspective, a slightly different perspective. From a different, sort of like a look into the future. The company that makes my ICD is a $40 billion corporation. And that's how big these guys are, and they're very good at what they do. And they're working really hard on the deep miniaturization of their devices. They are working on pacemakers the size of a Tic Tac that can be inserted through a catheter, an intracardiac pacemaker. This is where we're going. And injectable monitors that can be injected under the skin subcutaneously and removed. Incredible technology. And as these devices get smaller and smaller and smaller, soon enough, in just a few years, They'll be as easy to inject as a pet microchip. This is whether you like the idea or not, this is where we're going. And when this happens, many of us here, the early adopters, will be, I'll be doing that probably, will be considering one of those injectable devices, whether it's out of curiosity about our own bodies, or perhaps because we're being incentivized by a premium reduction in our health insurance. So, what I'm talking about here is really not, it's much bigger than one person, one patient trying to benefit from his data. And this is why you should care. It is not about my data and about my device and my data and what I can learn from it and what I can learn about myself. It is about our collective data. It is about what we can learn about ourselves. It is about the amount of insight and knowledge that we can all derive from our collective data. There are about 1 million patients out there. Think about this before I talk about the 1 million. Think about what we can do, for example, for the post-market surveillance of medical devices, a system that's broken today. If patients could donate their data and we could crowdsource the post-market surveillance of medical devices, what we could learn. Right? There are 1 million patients out there with implantable defibrillators, pacemakers, and loop recorders, implantable loop recorders, being actively monitored by the manufacturers of their devices. This is only a small subset of all of the patients out there who live with these implantable cardiac devices. Not a single one of them with access to their data. This data is kept siloed, and only the manufacturer has access to this data, insight to this knowledge. Imagine if we could liberate this data, what we would learn from it. Data that originates in my body by a device that I own should not be under the exclusive control of a corporation. It shouldn't. It's not their data. It is not, in a sense, not even my data. We owe it to ourselves. It is our data. And as such, we should not allow for anyone, be it a medical device company, be it an insurance company, and be it hospital, anyone, to stand between us and the knowledge and the benefits that we can all enjoy from knowing more about ourselves. We must liberate our health data. Thank you for your time.